All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going under the hood to look at the neuroscience of emotional attachment. We're going to break down the actual science of how our brains form those deep, lasting bonds and move way beyond the usual myths to see what's really happening on a biological level. So here's the game plan. First, we're going to challenge what we think creates attraction. From there, we'll go on a 6-stage journey deep into the emotional brain. We're covering the whole shebang, from that very first spark, what our source calls the limbic gate, all the way to the point of deep, secure attachment, the limbic lock. First up, let's tackle a huge misconception that trips a lot of people up, this idea that attraction is built on how much effort you put in. We're going to explore the massive difference between trying to impress someone and actually creating a real emotional connection. Okay, so this slide really puts it all into perspective. On one side, you have the common playbook, right? It's all about action and effort, saying the perfect thing and making big gestures, constantly trying to prove you're good enough. But the neuroscience approach is completely different. It suggests that deep attachment isn't built on performance at all. It's built on a foundation of emotional safety. It's less about what you do and way more about creating a state of calm that literally relaxes her nervous system. And here's the kicker. We're not dealing with the logical, rational part of the brain that weighs pros and cons. No way. The real gatekeeper here is the limbic system, the brain's emotional command center. This part of the brain runs on feelings, not facts. And it's what subconsciously decides who feels safe to connect with and who gets kept at arm's length. So if the limbic system is the gatekeeper, the obvious question is, how do you get past it? Well, that brings us right to our first big concept, learning how to open the limbic gate. Think of the limbic gate as an unconscious emotional bouncer. It's not analyzing your witty text messages or checking your resume. Nope. It's assessing how your presence feels. It's constantly, subconsciously asking, does this person's energy feel like a threat or does it feel like safety? That's it. So what does this actually look like? Well, things that slam that gate shut are probably pretty familiar. Trying too hard to impress, needing constant validation, that feeling of emotional urgency, or just plain overdoing it. All of these things are read by the brain as a threat. But on the flip side, things like being emotionally grounded, having a calm and settled presence, patience, and consistency, those are the signals that tell the gate, hey, it's safe to open. This quote just nails it perfectly. The goal isn't to win a debate and convince her logical brain that you're a great choice. The real goal is to create an emotional environment that's so safe, so calm, that her defensive, analytical brain doesn't even feel the need to be on guard in the first place. You relax the logic. But, just opening the gate isn't enough. That's just step one. To keep it open, you have to build something real. This next stage is all about creating what the source calls a safety signal. It's about moving from a nice first impression to genuine emotional predictability. Now, to be super clear, we're not talking about physical safety. A safety signal is that consistent feeling of mental peace you get from someone who is emotionally predictable. It's when your responses are so reliable and steady that the other person's nervous system finally learns it can stand down. It can relax. It doesn't have to be on high alert around you. So many of us worry that being predictable is the same as being boring. But the neuroscience here flips that idea on its head completely. In this context, familiarity isn't boredom at all, it's emotional recognition. It means the brain learns to recognize your presence as a known, safe thing. And that is deeply, deeply comforting, not dull. So this slide basically lays out the entire journey for us. We've covered opening the gate by creating calm and then building safety through consistency. Next up, we're going to see how that foundation allows you to forge real bonds and eventually achieve that deep, lasting lock. Okay, so once that foundation of safety is really solid, the brain starts to do something incredible. It begins turning those good feelings into permanent emotional anchors. And this is our next stage, forging the memory bond. This right here is a critical distinction, the difference between an impression and an imprint. See, an impression is about what you say or do, but an imprint is the emotional feeling you leave in your wake. The brain might forget the exact words you said a week ago, but it will never, ever forget how you made it feel. A clean imprint is one that feels calm, light, and totally free of pressure. And when you consistently create that same clean imprint over and over again, it becomes something the source calls an emotional anchor. Your very presence gets hardwired to a specific positive feeling, like calm or clarity. Over time, the brain learns this link so well that it starts to subconsciously seek you out whenever it needs that feeling. Now, this leads us into a much more nuanced phase, something that sounds like a contradiction but is absolutely essential for deepening the bond. Let's talk about the predictable mystery. So there's this constant battle going on in the brain between excitement and comfort. The roller coaster of excitement, it's a thrill for sure, but it's short-lived and it burns a ton of emotional energy. Comfort, though, comfort is like coming home. It's deep, it's lasting, and it's restorative. And when it comes to long-term attachment, the brain will always choose the path that saves energy and creates peace. And this brings us right back to that common fear we talked about. The source points out that a huge mistake people make is pulling back or creating drama because they're afraid of becoming boring. So it's a good moment to ask yourself honestly, have you ever done that? Have you ever mistaken a safe, comfortable connection for a boring one? All of these stages we've walked through. Opening the gate, building the safety signal, forging memory bonds, and choosing comfort, they're all building toward one final phase our source describes. And that's the limbic lock. So what exactly is the limbic lock? It is not a trick. It's not a technique you use on someone. It's the completely natural outcome of this entire process. When a bond is built on a solid foundation of safety, predictability, and positive emotional anchors, it becomes so important that the brain itself starts to protect it. That person becomes a fundamental source of emotional regulation. This might be the single most important takeaway from this whole explainer. This entire framework, it's not about controlling someone else. It is about mastering your own emotional regulation. It's your calm, your stable presence that creates the environment where a secure attachment can just form naturally. No force, no manipulation. This slide just sums it up perfectly. These are the 4 pillars that have to be in place for this state to happen. You need that unwavering emotional safety where her nervous system can chill out. You need a behavioral consistency, so your reactions are predictable. You need a positive memory bond. And you need those stable emotional anchors that link you to a feeling of relief. At the end of the day, this whole framework really boils down to this one powerful idea. It's time to stop treating attachment like some kind of mystery we have to solve or a game we have to win. Instead, we need to see it as a safe, stable environment that we have to patiently and consistently build, brick by brick. And so, that leaves us with one final question to really chew on. Now that you've seen the blueprint, what's the real difference between building a connection and trying to win one? It's a game changer when you really think about it. Thanks for tuning in.